Hey guys, my name is Ian and I help people take their mindset from a place of lack to a place of abundance. Welcome to a Plantside chat. I have my buddy Robert right here. We're just going to throw some topics out there, just try to explore not only our own thoughts, but our each other's thoughts, and just try to open that vault into what's really on our minds, and try to just be creative and maybe bring up things that could be beneficial to you as well as us. So introduce yourself, but what would you like to talk about today?
Oh man, I love the topic of just finances in general, and I feel like there's a lot of areas that you and I can go along with that.
Dude, absolutely.
Stuff. So, yeah, but my name is Robert Laverty. I recently moved to the area. I just kind of up and moved my life on there just because I wasn't happy where I was.
Point A to point B.
Yeah, sold a home, quit a job, and just up and moved over here. So. And then I found out along that whole journey and that whole process on there, I was just kind of finding out who I really am and stuff, and learned quite a lot along the ways on there, and just been studying personal development for many years. So
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely think that and finding Ian here in this area on there is very wise for his age. So
yeah, hey, I appreciate that, man.
Very happy to be here with you. So
dude, thank you. I'm happy to have you as well. And it's just interesting because, for me, what part, do you want to, talk about? I always get into that funk. My association has kind of, brought that out. It's just when I try to, describe who I am and what I'm trying to do, you can take on so many attributes of, what you want to do and where you want to be. So I think finances, can really kind of narrow that down because, are you going to work the rest of your life for finances, or are you going to use finances to fuel your dreams and, put you on a different level where you can start to, do more meaningful things with it? I guess finances for me is just I just think it kind of amplifies your character. So, and this is something that I guess I'm struggling with right now. It's if I'm not making the amount of money that I want to, is that because I'm not the person I need to be? Or is it I'm not making all this money because I'm not putting the forth effort necessarily?
Okay. Well, I think that's a struggle a lot of guys have. On there is that they have a lot of sense of worth to what they're actually making on there, and it just reminded me of what Jim Rohn was going through when he was working and stuff like that on there, where his mentor actually told him on there, he's no, that's all the job pays you on there, so you got to think of it as what avenues are you using to get your money on there. So this is all that the job pays for on there. It's not a sense of who you are and what you're capable of on there. It's just what you're making by doing what you're doing. And you can try to work harder doing better and better at your job on there, which is where a lot of guys like to go for on there. But where does that go in the end on there? So that's the question that a lot of people miss and don't ask themselves is, what's the end goal on this? I have an example just in my own job on there. Okay. There's a guy that's 40 some years old on there. I'm 28 and the guy next to me is actually 21, and we're all working the same role, but we're all these different ages. So I think it's an interesting perspective that almost no one asks themselves on there. It's do I want to be that guy that's in his 40s working the same job?
Same thing, yeah.
On there, he's probably making about the same that I am, because that is literally all that job pays for. Mm-hmm. On there. So you could work really hard and maybe go up your ladder of whatever you choose in life that you want to do, but is this a life that you want, kind of thing? Yeah. And finances are a huge focus for me as well on there. I like to go off of Jared Robbins. He has a book out it's called Live It, but his whole model of things is dumbing it down to very basic categories of life. And I try to focus on three major areas, which is health, relationships, and finances.
Okay.
So
That's
when
good.
I come for finances, it's a big area that I want to constantly be expanding in on there. So the level of my financial wealth on there is helps expand the level of life that I can live at.
I was gonna say, like, do they kind of like bleed into one another? It's like, okay, for you to have great health and to have great relationships, would, you know, having your finances in line and straight, you know, benefit those, or would, I mean, I guess like they kind of codepend on one another.
Yeah, there's actually a really good model that a lot of like life coaches have used. This kind of model on there is not just those three, but they try to expand it out into more. Usually, spirituality is another major one on there if you want to count four of them. But they say, you know, what level are you at in your life? If you rate either every area from 1 to 10 on there, and you just get some numbers out on there. So if you're like a 1 in one area and a 10 in the other one on there. So you start trying to draw that out as a pie on there, where you know, you're basically you could say like 4 pieces of a pie on there. So you would go all the way to the edge of the pie if it's a 10 on there, but then you would go all the way in the middle of it. So you'd have like this little tiny wedge if it was a 1, but you would have a big piece of the pie if it was a 10 on there. So if you draw all that out on there, usually most people are pretty lumpy.
Yeah.
And it overall on there, because some people feel like they're succeeding financially, but then their relationships kind of suck at home, you know, kind of thing on there. And then the model that really woke me up is when I learned it at one time on there. They're like, okay, draw all that out, do all that work, and they're like, now imagine that was the wheel of your life. How fast is that wheel going to go when it's that lumpy?
Ooh.
So he said on there, so try to get everything, it doesn't matter if it's all a 10, even if you're meeting them all at a 4, that wheel can turn really fast, and then it can start growing to a 5, a 6, and everything else.
In every field, yeah.
So everything does feed off of one another on there. So when you're not in proper balance on there, then eventually something in your life breaks and just doesn't happen. And this is usually where people have midlife crises and stuff like that on there, is that when that wheel stops turning smoothly on there and it can just no longer sustain itself, you crash and burn.
Yeah, it makes me think. So you know, I think when you do, you know, go out to live a very meaningful life, you want to be holistic. So, and that's kind of the mentorship that I've had. It's like in all areas of life. It's not, you know, just one, you know, area. It's all areas. But it's kind of funny you bring up the analogy, because when you're a holistic person, you're well-rounded. So, I mean, even if you're not necessarily, you know, like an expert in every field, if you're well-rounded in a lot of areas of your life, and you're slowly building that momentum of just, you know, getting your finances straight, getting your health in straight, getting your relationships in line, and, you know, starting building that you know, self-image for yourself, building that momentum, it starts to feed into like, I'm meeting better people and they're helping me with my finances, and my finances are feeding me and fueling my gym membership and fueling my, you know, desire to want to get back into get better relationships, and wanting to get, you know, help other people get financially, you know, independent or successful. And it just kind of like just starts building that momentum, and before you know it, you have all this momentum and all this this like power behind you, and who you are and what you say. And I think that's kind of the journey that I kind of see myself on. It's like, I want to be a holistic person. Mm-hmm. I want to be well-rounded. And if I can sit down with you and talk about practically anything, like, that will be a good, you know, starting ground for when it comes to, you know, maybe people are asking my advice, then I can be well-rounded to, you know, fuel whatever desire or whatever need that they want. Just being able to have that backbone in whatever area that anybody would need.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. A well-rounded life is something that, you know, big part of me and my personal move over here is to try to have all that balance in life on there. I'm not meeting everything at a 10. Otherwise, I'd be perfect.
You'd be perfect, yeah. You'd already have done it all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to learn, even in finances for me, and stuff to do. So yeah, just having that well-rounded life overall, and I want to be focusing on finances while we're here. I mean, it's just one topic, but do not skim on the point that it is part of a bigger whole overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it doesn't rule your life, but it can push your life.
Yes, it does. It does allow you to have. I don't want to say more things, but it does allow you to have more abundance in your life.
An opportunity.
Yes, on there, because you can meet a lot of your needs for safety out of having whatever it is, whatever your financial goals are on there. I don't want to say like $1 million or something, because maybe that's not for everybody.
Yeah, I mean even safety obviously, but like stability.
Yes.
So especially when you're with your wife and eventually when you have kids, like they're gonna want like a stable lifestyle. They want a stable like environment, so it's not necessarily taken away from them, so they can start to grow and they can start to flourish and have the opportunities. Like if your son wants to play like soccer or football and like being able to like support that dream, or your daughter wants to play piano, or she wants to ride horses, or whatever it may be, like the financial situation that can stretch out from can be from.
It can create that flooring that allows all that stuff on
Yeah.
there. So I come from like all the similar values on there. It's like it doesn't matter what my family actually wants to do. If they want to do horseback riding or whatever else on there. Like I mean, as long as it's not morally wrong or something on there, I'm not going to be opposed to whatever they want to do. But
absolutely.
I want them to have that freedom to be able to explore that.
Yes, absolutely.
Because like horseback riding could be something like maybe they just go crazy in there, like a professional polo player or something like that. Like that's expensive.
Oh, stupid expensive. I mean, I've seen a glimpse in that lifestyle. Like horses are not cheap, let alone being able to pay for traveling expenses, paying for like keeping the damn thing alive. Like it's not cheap. Like think about like having pets and stuff. It's like one of those things. It's you're feeding another mouth.
Yeah. And
you got to keep that. You got to keep it secure. You got to keep it safe and sound. And obviously if you have. And I kind of want to take it on a tangent where, let's say you do have a job, and let's say you are 40 years old, but there's someone coming in who's half your age and does the job just as well. Have the whole time you thought to yourself, I'm worth this much? Or have you been, told that you would, kind of end up in a better situation? Have you been thinking that things will work out in the long run as you save your money? Or are you convinced that is how much you're worth, therefore you don't really have any more to grow?
I think I have an answer for both of those on there. So at one point I did fall under that part where I was kind of lying to myself that things would be better and better in the end on there. And I think that was a lot of before I moved here on there, that I was working jobs that I was making more money than I am now. But thinking that things would get better and better in the end. Like, okay, I'll pay off all the debts, I'll get myself out of here, start saving and investing, and like eventually this will go somewhere on there. But I didn't have the discipline or the mind to actually make that happen at all. So I ended up just spending the money as I made it. Nothing at all, really. So
nothing tangible that you can show today. Like, I made this much money and I invested it, and this is how my assets are still growing. Type deal.
Yeah, and then on another front on there, I think a lot of us tell ourselves that same lie So I wanted to make that abundantly clear too. Is like you said, someone half your age coming in and doing the job better than you, that might be more ambitious than you. And a lot of us trying to live under that safety of having that job, having that paycheck on us, but it's really not a safety net.
It's not. No,
It's like, because that person half your age
No.
can come in there, do the job twice as efficient as you, and then it's like, well, this person's been here like whatever, like 40 years, or for an example on there, so they've been, just over the years they've been getting pay raises and stuff, but this person's willing to take half of that money, so
and do the same amount of work.
yeah, like, come on.
Yeah.
It's simple math right there. Like, you're gone on there, or you could have been a year from retirement kind of thing, and you're gone on there. So
right underneath your feet.
I mean, they're even finding that with like government jobs and stuff now on there, that they're actually like cutting people out like before retirement and stuff, because they just don't want to pay for it anymore.
No, not at all.
So it's just, having that safe, secure job seems to be more and more of a lie.
Oh, absolutely.
Nowadays, so.
And then we see it evident in our lives all the time. Like, my dad, he worked for a company, and the thing is what he had been saving for. He was saving his paid vacation. He was saving all this, and trying to get ahead. He was already at like the top, already a high level manager and whatnot. But the thing is like, you never know how stable that is, because that business got bought out. So another business came in with their own new rules and their own new things. They cut his pay and they took all his vacation away. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things. It's like, if you don't have complete control of your finances and how much you're bringing to the table, then how are you ever supposed to get ahead, let alone set yourself as well as your family in a case where if something were to go wrong. And that's kind of the thing that I've been really aware of ever since I got around the association that I have, is legacy. Is are you living and working a job to keep above the water, or are you working to create a financial situation to create a legacy? And I guess that just takes a different mindset. It takes one of those long-term mindsets that majority of people don't have, because, I mean, bring up Google, bring up, that fast food, just that mindset of that instant gratification. When we divert from the long-term thinking that if we plant these seeds, we'll, reap a harvest, instead of, if I put this frozen food in the microwave, I can have it instantly. It's one of those things where we're pulling farther away from actuality and potential, and we're living this mediocre, like just limited life. And I don't think inherently any of us are supposed to be limited. I think we're all abundant in our true nature. And for me, I think the greatest way to show and have respect towards our creator, or whatever your faith is to reach your potential, push yourself, and create a financial legacy for not only yourself but the thousands, if not millions, of lives you can impact. And that's the difference between thinking the short term rather than the long term, and thinking that getting paid for the hours that you put in and keeping above the water, and thinking that is like the safe route.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to be dumb, but safety right now is kind of the least of my problems, because I don't have necessarily people. I just have one stomach to feed, basically. So if I can, lack in financial safety right now, I feel like going for the long run and going on faith is going to kind of be how that safety does come in my life. It's letting faith guide me and stuff. And I guess you could take that on a spiritual conversation too. just having I think that's the thing, is like you need to have a confidence, you need to have a self-image, and you need to have a faith, because this is all new to me, this faith thing. I thought I had faith, but I realized I really didn't, because when it comes to entrepreneurship in general, like you're going down a risky road. Like absolutely there is risks beyond anything that we're taught growing up, and that road is very dark. But the great thing is there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and when I compare it to a job, I'm like, dude, I don't see no light at the end of the tunnel. I see a bunch of debt and a bunch of regrets. And
do you want their life? I know that it's the question that no one asks themselves on there, but do you want it enough on there? And I was fortunate enough that like at 25, I had the top of the ladder of my career.
Really?
Like I nailed down, I was a hard worker, and I got that top of the career. Like I was literally a consultant for businesses.
Yeah.
So I would go in there and I would fix the things or set up a new project, whatever it was on there. But I would fix the things that their chief information officer could not fix on there. And we oftentimes did not have the best relationship because we could fix the things that they could not.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had ego strokes about that. So when you came in there, they were looking to tear you apart. So you had to know what you were doing at the top of your head.
Just like that.
Instantly. Because if they found any weakness, anything at all on there, they would tear you.
Tear you apart,
You could not do that from an outside consulting firm.
No.
So I had to know what I was doing to that degree on there. And it's something that not a lot of people do. Like, it's a desirable job because my boss at that time on there, he said that he was working with a client, was fixing things or whatever on there. And the top executives of that company walked up to him and be like, do you want to work for us for $120 a year?
Just walk up to the guy.
Yeah, just walked up to him and just be like, we'll offer you $120K a year right here, right now. On there. And like that's the kind of business that I was in on there.
Really?
So that was the potential of that business on there. Absolutely hated it.
Oh yeah.
Like this was my dream growing up on there, working in IT and being in this thing. I worked super hard to get to that point in my life, and I found out I didn't want it.
Yeah.
So yeah, to your point on there, it's as much of a financial journey as it is a spiritual journey on there. It's just like I could continue working really hard on this, but I just didn't want it enough. I didn't want to be up there. Like I grew up in tech, and video games and stuff like that. So absolutely. I was just kind of pursuing that path on there, just as a hobby interest kind of mine on there. And I still like it from a hobby interest kind of perspective on there, but I don't want it enough to get to that point. And I'm very, very thankful that I had that at that young age, and then had that perspective on there. It's just like, this is not what I want. The kinds of mentality, the kind of people that were
you're
in that
associating with.
That part of it just wasn't me. Like, kudos for you if that's what it works out for you, but this just wasn't me. So that's why it's such a huge emphasis for anybody listening to this, is like really go to those people that are at that point that you're striving for, achieving for on there, that have those things on there, and just get to talk to them.
Get to talk to them, see their lifestyle, see what's really on their mind. Are they out for their own best interests, or are they out for others' interests? And
is this the kind of person that you want to become? Because if you become that person, you can have all those things. So you can have that job, you can have that paycheck if you become like that person.
Mm-hmm. You just have to emulate, kind of their habits and kind of their demeanor. Like, why would they want to, be there in the first place? And you just have to kind of see that, and that's the thing, is association, or what is it, like transgression through osmosis. It's you change by your association. You associate with them and see their lifestyle, therefore you can start to manipulate kind of your habits, or kind of the way that you see things, your perspective, to set yourself up for wherever that might be. But I kind of want to take it on a tangent where when you got to that point, I would assume that your soul wasn't satisfied. it was like as if as you got to that point, you're like, this was not what I was looking for, because I think that's what we're kind of searching for, is like we want to be happy inside. We want to, you know, share that happiness with others. And when we get to a point where like we always knew that inherently, but would say like you got to a point where it was just like a dog eat dog world, you know, type situation. And the way that you were making your money goes against some of your values and principles. Like for me, that would just like be detrivating to my personality, or just my soul's, you know, like my soul's like a, you know, embodiment in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, well, when you're young in that age on there, you don't necessarily know on there. So I think it took till I was 25 to actually try to figure this out and actually nail down a lot of this stuff on there. But it's living, you know, identifying what are your values in life, what are the things that you value on there, and is the path that you're going along in line with that. And I tried doing work like that when I was even younger, like in the 17, 18 on there, and I would kind of like lie to myself, like this is what I want, this is where I'm at. Oh shoot! Now how can I fake this to be like? Yeah, when I was young, I would focus on that, but as I'm older now on there, it's more and more like no, I need to live a value-driven life on here, and then align my life along with those principles on
Absolutely.
there. And I am more fulfilled that way, and I am happier that way with my life. Like I have less than what I did before I moved right now, but I'm happier about the decisions that I've made, because these have been absolutely mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not anybody else's.
Yes. So like I'm not listening to the advice on there. There's like, even just today on there, I was talking to, you know, my coworker that sits next to me about, you know, applying for positions within that are higher up and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, you should do it just to find out what they want for you. Even if you don't get it, they'll at least give you the feedback, you know, like, oh, this is what we need you to learn and improve upon and stuff like that. And I thought in the back of my mind, it's like, I want the money. I don't want to work for it, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I would have just done it and then be like, okay, this is what they want me to learn on here, so I'm going to go learn that stuff on there. Yeah. And I'll just grind it out on there and just deal with it. When I was younger, I had that mentality, but now it's just like, I don't want to work for it. And it's not because I'm lazy or anything. Like, I already proved it to myself that I can work that hard and get to that level on there. So
you're not trying to prove yourself.
Yeah, I'm not trying to prove myself. I'm just living in line with my values right now. This is something in my heart that I don't want to do on there. Like, I don't want to do that kind of work. Yeah, like I would love the pay to live a more comfortable life, but I don't want to do this. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to find, or doing work now, like being that entrepreneur and making myself uncomfortable right now to actually do something that is aligned with who I am. And I think a central theme too that I keep coming back to in the back of my mind when you're talking is, are we moving closer to the truth or further away from the truth?
Very true.
And I feel like our society has moved us further away from the truth, and that, you know, we live this comfortable life that we're able to have all these nice things and stuff on there, and to, you know, connect with people about status and things like that, and we live this very fluffy high-end life on there where we have all these nice things and we're thankful for them all. That, you know, they allow us to do all these things, to even connect to people like on the camera and stuff like this. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But we're finding out that more and more of our souls are actually screaming out for more and more of the truth on there. And what we really want is the more of the truth.
Absolutely.
So we may have the camera as that medium to allow us to connect to people on there, but what really people are watching this for is to get deeper and deeper into that truth on there. And so I'm finding more and more that, you know, as we live more and more of this crazy life on there, that, you know, it's not as evident now, even though there's still a big following behind it, but people are trying to move closer and closer to the truth.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to emphasize a lot on there.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of why people try to impress others and why the clothing that they wear and, you know, the things that they say and the things that they do. And I've come to realize that a lot of people are all about the image, whereas they're not about, you know, the why. They're not about the deep inherent drive to, like you said, get to the truth. Because I think there's two ways to kind of see it. Imagine like you're like at a hill, you're on top of a hill, and you can see the bottom, and it would make sense for you to walk down, to the ground. And I guess that would be a sense of, you having that ability to know what truth is. It's like, this is true, like the ground is true, I'm walking down, I'm getting closer to the summit, or not the summit, but the valley. And like for some reason I think of, imagine if you were to be like on a drone or on a helicopter, and you were to kind of just be right where the deepest part of the valley would be, like where your destination was, if you were to just drop down right in there. Well, the thing is that idea of being up there and dropping straight to the truth, I feel like that's that image is like, we want it right now. Not taking those steps, not knowing what the truth is, not struggling to get down, not going through the path, not going through the weaves. Because if you go straight down, that doesn't work. But if you follow the path that is true, like you can get to your destination, successfully.
Well, yeah, like the drone. Imagine the drone that just fell down on the ground on there. It's not going to land just nice and neat on there. It's going to splatter to pieces.
You're going to die.
So if you try to cut it out to that point on there, you're going to crash and burn on it. So I love that analogy of going down that hill on there, or that steep, whatever it is, that windy path down on there. It's the journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
On there, and it's often like we now have the internet and everything else nowadays that we're trying to skip the journey on there because we just don't want to work for it. But that journey is incredibly important on there. The journey is what gets us to that point on there. It
is, yeah. It what molds us. It what strengthens us.
Yeah, it builds you up to be that kind of person that would have the things at the end, at that bottom of that cliff.
Yeah.
So we need to be molded by that journey, and we live in such an instantaneous world that we often forget about that journey.
That journey, yeah. We want to be dropped right on the destination, but not taking in regard of the fall that is happening. Yeah.
Exactly. So we just want to feed on the instantaneous reward on there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, open your mouth wide on there, because everything else is going to come after that.
Absolutely. So then that's kind of this, like, the lifestyle that we live in. I think you brought up a huge point. It's like, what do we want? And we kind of are standing in the middle ground. It's like, we got truth to our left, and we got we have obviously farther away from the truth, but we have the image. I keep on talking about the image because so many of us want to put on this lifestyle when in closed doors we don't have that. And I think integrity is what really is brought up to me, and the integrity that we have as a society is not really there because we're relying on other people to solve our problems when we don't realize that in order to solve your problems, you got to change yourself. You got to be true with yourself, and you got to be very transparent. And that's just one of those things where it's like, no one else is causing the issues in your life. It's just a reflection of what's going on inside you. And the journey is to put yourself in an integrous mindset, pull the veil apart and become transparent, become vulnerable, so you can walk a life of integrity and you can start to be molded and shaped into the person that you want and start to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Because it's not instantaneous. But it's like that for a good reason. It's to strengthen you. It's to mold you, and that level of being strength and molded has to take a level of you getting real with yourself and knowing that the truth will set you free, and lying to yourself will only create that image larger, and it will only drop you harder. Yeah.
Drop you. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that analogy. That's definitely a lot of work that I've explored and stuff too. A lot of other authors that I follow and things is they talk about guys putting up the shield on there, like the Spartans putting up the shield in formation kind of thing on there.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
like well, let's talk about a deep, a problem that you're struggling with on there, and the shield goes up on there, and it's a deflection on there, like a joke or something else on there. Like
they laugh it off in a way.
Yeah, and I feel like that's true to your point on there. That's where our society has gone nowadays. Kind of thing on there is like, where's the depth of our conversations kind of gone on there, and even in the masculine energy has kind of gotten away from all that stuff on there. But that also raises up the same question on there. Is like, where are the real men in life,
dude? I know, right?
There, because all of us are at that level on there. It's just like, bro, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, man. You're cool, right?
Yeah,
You're cool.
just fake it. Yeah, just brush it off. Just fake it. Like act like it didn't happen, type deal.
Yeah. It's just like whatever
way.
you're dealing with is like you have to express that on there. It's incredibly attractive for a woman on there to have a man show up in life on there fully with life on there. It's just like you're struggling with these things, but you're going to handle them, and you're willing to talk about it.
You're
become
vulnerable.
Yeah, you're letting the shield down.
That's basically it. We're running out of space and time, but comment, rate, and subscribe. I'm gonna leave Robert's information so you can check out his pages, his websites. And yeah, I really appreciate you sticking around and listening to our thoughts.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you all on there. I hope that somebody got something of value on
Absolutely.
here, and then definitely post any more questions or anything that comes up on there, or even just any of the insights that you might have gotten from this. Maybe you too can help somebody else that's seen this and watched this. So
absolutely, yeah. Your opinion matters too. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.